I spent $7,400 on my credit card last year. If you asked me what I bought, I could name maybe 3 things. The rest? Gone. Erased by a system designed to make spending feel like nothing. If you're carrying a balance right now while swiping for coffee you don't need, this video's for you. I'm going to show you exactly why your brain can't resist it, while the bank profits from your confusion, and the one switch that cut my spending by 30% overnight. Chapter 1. The $200 dinner I don't remember. So that's how $7,400 disappeared without a trace. But here's the part that still bothers me. There's a dinner I paid $200 for that I can't remember eating. And the reason I forgot isn't the food, it's how I paid. I was 25, my credit card was fresh, and I took a date to a restaurant I couldn't afford. I remember walking in. I remember the feeling of handing the card over. I don't remember what we ordered. I don't remember if it was good. What I do remember is the swipe. That smooth, frictionless motion that felt like permission, like I was the kind of person who didn't check prices. The bill came 3 weeks later, buried in a statement with 47 other transactions I didn't recognize. I paid the minimum, told myself I'd catch up next month, and kept swiping. What I didn't understand then was that the credit card had already done its job. It separated the pleasure of buying from the pain of paying. By the time the pain arrived, my brain had moved on. It wasn't a dinner. It was a memory I never formed, paid for with money I didn't have. So that's how a $200 dinner became a ghost I was still paying for months later. I'm curious, what's the one purchase you made with a credit card that you completely forgot about until the statement came? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. Chapter 2. Why swiping feels like nothing. So that's how a dinner I don't remember cost me $200 plus interest. But the real question is why it felt so easy in the moment. There's a reason your brain doesn't register credit card spending as real, and it's not because you're careless. It's because the card was designed that way. I used to think I was just bad with money. Then I read a study about the pain of paying, and everything clicked. Here's what happens. When you hand over cash, you see it leave. Your brain registers a loss. It hurts a little. That hurt is actually useful. It makes you pause, evaluate, decide if it's worth it. Credit cards remove that hurt completely. The swipe is smooth, the card goes back in your wallet, the thing is yours. No loss registered, no pain felt. Studies show people spend 12 to 18% more with cards than with cash for the exact same items. It's not that you want more, it's that your brain doesn't know you're spending. The card isn't a payment tool, it's a painkiller for purchasing. And like any painkiller, the problem keeps growing while you stop feeling it. Chapter 3. The Minimum Payment Trap. So that's why swiping feels like nothing. Your brain never sees the money leave. But here's where the bank takes over. There's a number on your statement that looks like help, but is actually a trap designed to keep you paying forever. I used to see that minimum payment and feel relief. $25 on a $2,000 balance? I can do that. I felt responsible. I felt in control. What I didn't see was the math. That $25 barely covers the interest. The principal barely moves. So next month, I owe almost the same, and the month after, and the month after. The bank shows you the minimum because they know exactly what it does to your brain. It feels manageable. It feels like progress. But it's not progress. It's a treadmill. You run, and the balance stays almost the same. I paid $25 a month for 2 years on one card. I owed more at the end than at the start. The minimum payment isn't designed to help you pay off debt. It's designed to keep you in it long enough to maximize what they collect. That's not a feature, that's the business model. Chapter 4. The rewards illusion. So that's the treadmill. But here's the lie that got me on it in the first place. I thought I was beating the system with cash back. I wasn't. I was the system. I signed up for my first card because of the rewards. 2% back on everything. Free flights. Points that felt like found money. What I didn't calculate was the spending required to get them. I spent $1,000 to earn $20 in cash back. I carried a balance for 3 months to get enough points for a flight that would have cost me $300 in cash. The interest I paid during those 3 months? $180. So I paid $180 to save $300, but only if I ignored the $1,000 I wouldn't have spent without the card. Here's what banks know that most people don't. Rewards aren't a gift, they're bait. The bank makes money on the people who carry balances. The people who pay in full are the exception, not the rule. I thought I was the exception. For 2 years, I wasn't. The rewards program isn't designed to reward you. It's designed to make you feel smart while you spend more than you would without it. Chapter 5. What I spent versus what I thought I spent. So that's how the bank makes you feel smart while you spend more. But the real damage isn't the big purchases. It's the $12 here and $8 there that you don't even register, and they add up to a number that will shock you. I checked my year-end statement once, convinced I'd spent about $3,000 on my card. The number was $7,400. I stared at it for 10 minutes. I couldn't account for more than half of it. There were $8 coffee charges I didn't remember, $15 Uber rides I took because I was lazy, $22 lunches I bought because I didn't pack food. Each one felt like nothing at the time. The card made them invisible. No cash left my hand, no wallet opened, just a tap, a beep, a done. My brain logged none of it as spending. It logged each one as convenience, as a small treat, as no big deal. But $8 twice a day is $240 a month. $240 a month is $2,880 a year for coffee I didn't need and can't remember. The credit card doesn't just hide the pain of big purchases. It hides the existence of small ones. And small ones, repeated, become the reason you're $7,400 deep with nothing to show for it. Chapter 6. The Psychology of I'll Pay It Off Next Month. So that's how $7,400 became invisible coffee and Uber rides I don't remember. But here's the lie I told myself that kept me swiping. There's a phrase that every person in credit card debt has said at least once. And it's the phrase that guarantees they'll stay there. I'll pay it off next month. I said it every single month for 2 years. Every statement, same story. This was temporary, a rough patch. Next month, I'd get serious. Next month, I'd cut back. Next month, I'd catch up. What I didn't understand was that next month isn't a plan. It's a permission slip. It lets your brain off the hook today while promising discipline tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes with the same urgency as today. Your brain is built to prioritize now over later. It's called temporal discounting. $1 today feels real. $1 next month feels theoretical. So you spend the real dollar now and promise to fix it with theoretical dollars later. The credit card knows this. The statement is designed to make minimum payments feel like progress and next month feel like a solution. Neither is true. I finally broke the cycle when I realized that next month was just another way of saying never. The month I stopped trusting my future self to be more disciplined than my current self was the month I actually changed. Chapter 7. How the Bank Designs Your Weakness. So that's the lie I told myself. But here's the part that made me angry when I finally saw it. The bank isn't accidentally profiting from your psychology. They're actively engineering it. I used to think credit cards were just financial tools that some people misuse. Then I learned how they're designed. The 21-day grace period? Not generosity. It's the exact window where your brain forgets the purchase but remembers the card. The minimum payment calculation? Set low enough to feel manageable but high enough to stretch your debt for decades. The rewards program? Built to make you feel like you're winning while increasing your spending by 15 to 30%. Even the physical card is designed for speed. Tap to pay, contactless, one-click checkout. Every friction point that might make you pause has been removed. I felt stupid when I realized this. Then I felt angry. I wasn't struggling with money because I was weak. I was struggling because a team of psychologists and data scientists built a product specifically to exploit my brain's weakest impulses. The credit card isn't a neutral tool. It's an asymmetrical weapon. And for most of my 20s, I was unarmed.
Chapter 8. The 48-Hour Rule That Fixed It.
So that's how the bank weaponizes your psychology against you. But here's the rule that made me dangerous to them. It wasn't a budget. It wasn't cutting up cards. It was a 48-hour pause that changed everything. I got the idea from a friend who used it for online shopping. Any purchase over $50 had to sit on a list for 2 days before I could buy it. Not banned, just delayed. The first few times, I was sure I'd still want the thing. I didn't. The craving faded in a day. What I thought was need was just momentum. The card made buying so easy that wanting and buying felt like the same thing. The 48 hours separated them. After 2 days, if I still wanted it, I bought it. But now I knew I actually wanted it, not that my brain was chasing a dopamine hit from a smooth swipe. The rule didn't stop me from buying things I valued. It stopped me from buying things I didn't remember valuing. That's the difference. The card makes every purchase feel like a need. The pause reveals which ones actually are. Chapter 9. The Debit Card Switch. So that's the rule that broke the impulse cycle. But the real transformation came from something even simpler. I switched to debit for everything except travel. And suddenly, spending hurt again. The first time I tried to buy a $90 pair of shoes with my debit card, I paused. I actually paused because I knew that $90 was leaving my account today. Not in 3 weeks, not after the statement. Today. The money was real. The loss was immediate. My brain registered it. That pause, that was the pain of paying coming back. And it saved me more money than any budget ever did. Within 6 months, my spending dropped 30%. Not because I was restricting myself, because I was finally feeling what I was doing. Credit cards hide the cost. Debit cards show it. Cash shows it even more. I didn't need more discipline. I needed the cost to be visible again. The switch wasn't about the card. It was about reconnecting my brain to the reality of my money.
Chapter 10. Building the Buffer That Breaks the Cycle.
So, that's how I made spending visible again. But here's the final piece that made the change stick. You can't just stop using credit cards. You need something to reach for instead when life happens. I cut up my cards twice before I actually quit. Both times, an emergency sent me running back. A $400 car repair, a medical bill, an unexpected flight. Without a buffer, I had no choice. The credit card was the only tool I had. The real fix wasn't switching to debit. It was building a cash buffer that made the credit card unnecessary. I started with $500, small enough to save in a month, big enough to handle most surprises. Then $1,000, then $2,000. The month I had $2,000 in a separate account that I never touched, something shifted. I didn't feel deprived without the card. I felt armed. The buffer didn't just protect me from emergencies. It protected me from the psychology of scarcity. When you have no cushion, every unexpected expense feels like a crisis, and crises make you reach for the fastest solution, which is always the card.
With a buffer, the same expense feels like an inconvenience. You handle it and move on. The buffer isn't savings, it's freedom from the trap.
Chapter 11. The real cost of convenience.
So that's how I armed myself against the cycle. But here's what nobody tells you about convenience. Your credit card isn't convenient for you, it's convenient for the bank. And you're paying for that convenience with interest you don't calculate and debt you don't feel accumulating. I still have a credit card. I use it for flights and hotels, things I budget for before I book. Everything else, debit or cash. Groceries, coffee, dinner, clothes, the small stuff that used to disappear into my statement. The truth is, I don't need convenience for a $6 coffee. I need to feel the $6 leave. That's what keeps me honest. Credit cards aren't evil. They're a tool. But they're a tool designed by a bank that makes money when you carry a balance. The convenience they sell you is the convenience of not feeling your own spending. And not feeling it is exactly how you end up with $7,400 you can't account for. I don't avoid credit cards because I'm disciplined. I avoid them because I finally want to know where my money goes. Because knowing is the only thing that makes choosing possible. So that's the full picture. And I want to know, what's the one trick or habit that actually helped you control your spending? Not theory, something you actually do. Drop it below. The best ones might end up in a future video. And if this video made you look at your card differently, hit the like button. It tells me this kind of honest breakdown is worth making more of. Now you know how credit cards trap you and how to break free. The next thing to figure out is how to build that cash buffer fast, even if you're starting from zero. So watch this video next to see why smart people stay poor. I'll put the video up on the screen for you to watch next.